Hello everyone, welcome to the e-commerce podcast. Today we're with Florian Clemens, who is leading the growth strategy for Tesco Media, and he's hosting us here at dunnhumby offices, Centrum London. Glad to have you, Florian.
Hey, thank you for having me.
So I know you have a very exciting and also impactful career story, but many of us would like to hear more. Can you walk us through a journey, how you come to Tesco Media and what's on the horizon?
Absolutely. So about 100 years ago, I started with P&G in local and regional and global marketing. Really, first job was on Ariel in Germany. So really laundry detergent, totally the street fight, get the pallets in store, get the TV copy on air,
right.
Let's sell some stuff here. And I still have like a bit of that thinking.
We all have, I think.
Just let's do this thing. So I've always been more interested in just let's go and sell some, and not so much let's win something amazing in Cannes and so on. So that's always been the focus, and I think that's also why I still like being in retail media. So I did the marketing role, did a bit of strategy consulting, marketing strategy consulting, how to set up a global marketing organization and how to make all of that hurt a little bit less. And then I think I have one of the reasons I have my role today is, of course, because I worked 8 years for Amazon Advertising.
Right.
Joined in 2014. So 10 years of retail media.
From the early days of retail media.
Exactly. So we need to stop pretending that retail media is a new thing. It's now been 10 years. And I think we all just are trying to still finalize this and make this happen and really turn this into something. But joined Amazon Ads in 2014. Just for perspective, that was before sponsored ads launched at all.
Right.
They had display advertising, did not have search advertising yet.
It was 2012 AAP, Amazon Advertising Platform.
They were called Adzenia first, then they were called Amazon Media Group, then Amazon Ads. There's been quite a bit of evolutions in that as well. Actually, when they first launched search advertising, they actually didn't have a billing functionality, so it all had to run over credit cards. And so some really big agencies for big clients were running the business all over their credit cards and were losing their minds about that. It was wild.
This is Wild Wild West.
It was absolutely wild. 2015 then launched ROAS for the first time in e-commerce. So I built up a global accounts team. So what are the relationships with the biggest global advertisers? How do we all have a global JPP? What are the big things that investments that we want clients to do around the world? How do we all work together? And then increasingly in retail media, what can the big brands actually do in retail media around the world? So I did that for 8 years. Spent some time with IRI, now called Circana, on selling marketing mix and advertising measurement and analytics and pulling together a European sales team for that. And now I'm with Tesco Media, which is, of course, a joint venture of basically Tesco and dunnhumby.
Right.
dunnhumby also being a subsidiary of Tesco, of course, but we're really bringing together the best of a Tesco retail world and a dunnhumby data science and media sales world, and really driving this to the next level of growth.
It's amazing you brought it up, how the Amazon advertising went through the retail media evolution before it's called retail media.
Absolutely.
But now it's been reminding me that 10 years now, and we're still debating about ROAS, and we're coming up with new, different metrics. We'll come to that. But now, I love the partnership between dunnhumby and Tesco Media. And with all the evolution we've seen in the last 10 years, how do you define Tesco Media / dunnhumby's role as a leading partner, leading provider in the retail media ecosystem?
I think what we're seeing here with Tesco is, first of all, that the retail media platforms are only as strong as the retailer that they're actually built on. And it's just the Tesco as a retailer is just going from strength to strength. And it's just fascinating. So there's a new market share high, 28% of UK supermarket share.
28%.
28%.
Amazing.
So they're significantly bigger than anyone behind that. We are also seeing a really interest in Club Card, which is, of course, the loyalty card. So the UK has 28 million households, and Tesco has 23 million Club Cards. So that level of penetration. But then also really interesting for us is that in store, 80% of the revenue in store, brick and mortar, is actually tagged with a club card, so that we can use all of this data for audiences and for measurement.
This is mind-blowing.
It is
80% of purchases tagged with a loyalty club card.
Exactly. So then, so we are really able to see then not only online and in e-commerce, but actually also in store. We are able to then see what people are interested in, what they are buying, and then just to close the loop, as you always do in retail media.
So you're in a perfect position because of your tenure in Amazon, Circana/IRI, and now Tesco, to bring omnichannel nuances into the conversation. Retail media ad formats are growing exponentially. There is always a new retail media ad format every quarter or so. How Tesco Media bringing those capabilities into the CPG's play for increasing their ROI on the retail media investment?
For us, it is truly an omni-channel thing.
Right.
So it is about everything that we do on site, so which is the search advertising and the display advertising.
Which is the core.
And look, and we've been really conservative about this, and we've done a lot of A/B testing and really making sure that we have a win-win-win between the actual Tesco shopper, the Tesco customer,
right,
the advertiser, and then Tesco as a retailer. And we've done a lot of A/B testing around that. You can test like scroll depth and the final, not making sure that you don't impact the final purchases and so on. So there's really a lot of deliberate works happening there. We're doing quite a bit of innovation, video ads. We have launched and which we are expanding. IAB formats, of course, also super important. So there's a lot happening in on-site that we continue to drive. The other big thing is, of course, off-site.
Right.
So we have relationships with Channel 4 and with ITV, all of the big UK streaming TV, Sky TV as well, all of the big UK streaming TV, but also things like Google Shopping. We are just now starting, so there's a lot of off-site partnerships that we're driving, and again, being able to do this with our audiences. With all of the audiences around intent and all of the purchase history that we have and what people are buying and have bought in the past and so on, and trying to link all of this together then of course with attribution. We can talk about that a bit later.
We'll come to that, of course.
But then the other half of this is, and I think a lot of people in retail media forget about that, is actually in-store. So in-store cardboard, in-store experiences very much, and also the in-store display screens, where we've installed more than 5,000 screens now and are continuing to install. So there is a whole, the in-store retail media evolution, I think, is super interesting. This is basically a form of out-of-home advertising at a point of sale. And I think we are all just trying to wrap our minds around what does that mean in terms of just almost a programmatic advertising medium, but also in terms of what are actually experiences, brand experiences that we can create in store. So for me, it's just a super interesting omni-channel approach that we can drive here.
Can you walk us through a little bit, because there is a little buzz around this on-site, off-site, and also in-store. In terms of attribution, or in terms of the targeting capabilities, what advanced features there is for in-store retail media targeting and attribution?
So first of all, we, especially in store, we need to make sure that all of the targeting is all privacy safe.
Right.
So we would never track a customer around in store.
Right.
What we are currently doing is we are installing hardware we're testing hardware to actually test the number of, to report the number of impressions. So just humans, just almost like just a motion detector. So being able to play back to advertisers how many people have actually seen this screen
how much traffic
in
is
store
revolving,
and so on. So that we almost start to get some parity towards digital in terms of what we can actually report. The other interesting bit is to then be able to report just the uplifts. So whenever we run in-store campaigns, we always have a holdout group of stores so that we can do an A/B comparison.
Lift analysis.
And we can actually it's basically a geo-lift approach. So that's, I think, in-store going to be, for the foreseeable future, that's how we're going to do it. There are ways to drive that. We can, for example, we could say if someone has bought laundry detergent, we could assume that they have seen the cardboard that is in the laundry detergent aisle, and we could give them that exposure. But at the moment, this is all pretty much beyond what we are currently doing.
It is in its nascency, but it's
growing. It is nascency.
Yeah.
So first of all, store, very much probabilistic uplift. And then digital is, of course, where we then have the direct attribution. We have
high penetrate, yes.
We have logged in users. We can then talk about multi-touch attribution, and we have all of that data.
This all promises huge opportunity for data collaboration. And I'm sure a lot of CPG advertisers are just trying to figure out where they can get the most out of these.
Yeah.
And of course, you mentioned win-win-win, which I love, which I also talk about. Consumers at the center of this. How all these technologies, compliance with the consumer trust, while benefiting the consumer, as well as returning the investment for the advertisers. Can you walk us through a little bit of data collaboration? Because advertisers expect a lot of data from the retailer partners.
So the first thing we have is we have a great platform that's called Sphere. That is actually a fully integrated insights and then planning and buying, booking, optimization, and then reporting and measurement platform.
All in one Sphere.
All in one, and also Omni-Channel. So with this, you can also then book in-store cardboard. So the idea of all of this is, and we are continuing to build towards this, that we truly have an Omni-Channel targeting audiences, insights, reporting platform that all of this is going to run on. The interesting bit with this is that on the insights side, all of this needs to start with your consumer insights, with your shopper insights, but also then with your business insights. That we start there, and we actually then show to advertisers, for example, agency planners, or at our CPG clients, also people with hands on the keyboard. We show directly the business opportunities that are there. So can more people, more frequent purchases, more premiumization, more premium purchases, and so on. We show this, we surface this as insights, and then based on that, you can directly go into audiences planning, and you can then build your media plan directly through that. So one of the key things here is giving advertisers a privacy-safe way to look at these audiences and then to turn them into action is super important to us. And I think before you start thinking about asking for a tool like clean rooms, is first to understand what's the need behind the need.
And define the business objectives clearly.
Exactly. Yeah. And being able to then say, well, yes, clean room is one thing, but actually shouldn't we be talking about what is the end-to-end plan here of how can we plan together? And what we're hearing from agencies is that these are all super relevant insights. So this is fundamentally how a good quarter of UK CPG on a household level, and understanding on a household level of people, how people are buying, what they're buying together, interaction of different categories, and so on, that they're actually using this for national media planning, not just on Tesco.
This national media planning is wonderful. I don't think every CPG is on there yet, because they're still trying to combine the retail media strategies with the national media planning. Leaders are doing it, yes. And you made a good point about data clean rooms. Many companies are trying to experiment with retail data clean rooms, but they don't know really how it could be impactful. From your point of view, from a technology company like dunnhumby and Tesco Media, where are the biggest benefit for a CPG to unlock potential of data clean room other than shopper insights? And can you walk us through an example, one strong example?
Yeah, so look, fundamentally, this is all about either audiences, or it is about measurement in the end.
Okay.
And we are on both very easily. If a client would ask me right now, how can we get started on this? We have partnerships with LiveRamp, with InfoSum, where we can pretty much directly plug people into basic audiences and basic measurement. And I think for us, it's also important to show just that interoperability and to have the basic functionality for clients, 100%. But then we are working with clients now, with JBP partners, around deeper clean room integrations. And we are just now getting started with that. Because trying to run all of this in the end on Omni-Channel, as I said, across 20 ad products that we actually have, from digital to cardboard, and actually, if you want, also Tesco CRM emails to Clubcard customers, couponing. There is tons and tons of inventory that we actually have that would all be relevant to this. There still is a lot of scoping that needs to happen.
Of course.
For us to have the fully integrated solution. We've chosen to do this together with our big JBP clients.
And it only makes sense their business impact objectives or business goals tied to the capabilities of the platform. No platform will deliver results alone.
Exactly that. And so there is also really a bit of an evolution there, a crawl, walk, run of, we want the data. Well, what are you going to do with the data? How are you going to work with the data? So also then for clients and agencies, they realize that it's not just about the tech integration, but it's also about having the analysts and having the business cases and having the briefs that you then actually need to research. So there's a lot of also internal resourcing and behavior changes and so on that then need to happen on their end, that you can't just switch it on.
That reminds me of something else, because many of the brands define the category growth or category growth success based on attracting new to the brand customers or negotiating with their retailer partners, attracting new to the store brand loyals.
Yeah.
And now when you're helping a CPG retail, can you give us any real case example? You don't need to mention the CPG or brand, but how they really grow their category while they're growing category not only for themselves, but also for their retailer partners because of this 20 plus ad unit portfolio and all the capabilities underlying.
First of all, I think, again, it's super important to start with the objective. A lot of people come into this retail media space and just want to harvest the demand that's there anyway. So people are searching for something, I need to be there, and I just need to convert that demand right now. And they are obsessing about individual retail
transactional
media
sale,
keywords. And right here, right now, in this basket, and so on. And I mean, a lot of that totally relevant. But sometimes when I look at my LinkedIn feed, there are people obsessing about something that is almost like high-frequency stock trading, where they are just obsessing about the ups and downs and so on, and where sometimes I want to see, like, take a step back. Let's think about these are real humans who are sitting at home or sitting on the bus or they are at work, who have needs, who are actually sitting there and saying, okay, I want my usual deodorant, I need some kind of a whitening toothpaste, but I don't know which one, and I don't know, I need something for dinner. Like,
what is the best smoked salmon I can find?
And so there is a whole thing there that's happening where everyone is just so focused on just being the most relevant for this search right now that I think people are not thinking about the inspiration.
Right.
So one of the reasons why we've now launched video advertising is to actually give give advertisers an opportunity to go higher in the funnel and to think about, well, how do we inspire clients? So another thing is Tesco has Real Food, which is a big recipe website, actually with a really nice e-commerce integration that you can directly put all of this into your basket, but quite nicely done. But we are now working with a client that actually then has a drink.
Right.
That they are actually sponsoring a subset of these recipes. It's not launched yet, but they're actually sponsoring a subset of recipes because that for them is the best way to inspire people to then have this drink together with their food.
Instead of selling the drink
Instead
as a
of right now, people who are searching for this soft drink right now, I want to convert them right now.
And this is a better consumer experience as well, to discover a new instance.
Well, look, I was talking about the win-win-win.
Right.
So if someone comes to the site, searches for Gillette shaving blades, and then we show them an ad for Gillette shaving blades, and they buy Gillette shaving blades,
it's pretty boring.
What have we all achieved here?
Right.
Because I think it's a lost opportunity also for that shopper. Because you could have come with something else. You could have come with other male grooming opportunities. Also as a retailer and as a manufacturer, you could have...
Or skin moisturizer.
Or moisturizer, exactly.
Yeah.
There could have been a lot of other things that you could have done with that moment.
Right.
And I think all of us still need to figure out how to then make the most out of these moments.
And these are great use cases. Many brand teams are expert of cross-pollinating different categories, growing the basket. But you mentioned something interesting which I love and which is a trending topic around retail media, which is moving towards the funnel on the upper funnel levels. Now it brings another question. Of course, we know that retail media is not a lower funnel tactic anymore because of the targeting capabilities. It's an upper funnel tactic, creating awareness, creating reach. But it brings another challenge, omni-channel attribution.
Yes.
Omni-stage attribution on the journey and omni-channel, because there's a lot of shifts. And what are the powers? What are the features that you bring into this game?
Basically, what clients are asking for are fundamentally three things.
Right.
They want a full funnel attribution.
Right.
They want an omni-channel attribution across everything, like I said, including cardboard and
loyalty programs,
coupons, anything, absolutely, totally omni-channel. And across all of that, they then also want to get the IROAS, so the truly incremental ROAS. Right. And that is all. I think that is for all of us a pretty tall order. We are 100% working.
Trifecta of the retail
exactly.
media.
Well, 100% working towards that.
Right.
So we've just now, we are very close to launching IROAS for some of our biggest clients to first together with them to just learn on that. It is 100% something that everyone is looking for.
Of course.
I do think it is pretty funny. Again, Amazon launched ROAS in 2015. Mm-hmm. Every year, every 2 years, there's a new cohort of e-commerce people who all then by themselves realize that, hey, ROAS is not ROI.
New discovery.
People keep rediscovering this. And that is absolutely true. But even if you're just purely working with ROAS, I think there's a much smarter ways of working with ROAS where you say, well, bottom of the funnel, I of course have much higher ROAS expectations than as I'm going up. And then on a big established brand, I probably also have other expectations than on some of the smaller brands. So there are a lot of brands who have figured this out for themselves. What are the benchmarks? What are my expectations? What is the brief for my agency? Because the agency can give you any ROAS you want by just
sugar-coated, packaged with a red ribbon. Yeah.
Purely targeting people who would have bought you anyway.
Exactly.
They can give you a ROAS of 20. It's not a problem at all. So so the first thing we now need to do is to have our methodology for IROAS 100% finalized, and then start socializing with clients. And we are seeing in the data that some of this is actually very good. And others on other clients and in other brands, it's going to cause a change in behavior because you might be seeing great ROAS, but the IROAS is actually not that amazing because you're too far down the funnel. So there's a lot of collaboration, again, that is needed with our big clients. So that's one bit. And then, of course, trying to run all of this omni-channel is going to be a multi-year project.
True.
Because if you want to run true multi-touch attribution, all of this across everything, and then have the true IROAS point of view of what would have happened without this one specific ad, because that's what you need for IROAS.
Baseline organic, yeah.
It's not trivial. So there's a lot of work happening to move this forward. We are absolutely committed to that. But it is we are sharing with our clients that this is going to be a multi-year roadmap.
I was going to touch upon some of the KPIs, but now you just got me off balance with IROAS, and I'm looking forward to seeing it when it's rolled out. Can you give us a little bit of taste what the methodology will be? Because many companies are working on this. Many products are claiming that they cracked the IROAS code. Some claim new to the brand. Some claim keyword relevancy. Could you show us anything about how the sausage is made?
At the moment, I'm not ready to talk about that.
Sure. Then let's go back to my other performance metrics.
Yes.
Other than IROAS, do you have any sexy KPIs that could complement retail media performance?
Just start with all of the basic KPIs. Look, it all starts with the impressions and just the cascade of all of the normal digital advertising KPIs. What we are additionally trying to do, again, is to deliver all of these across as many different ad channels as possible. So that we then say, for example, for in-store, we also want to be able to give you the impression numbers for these ads as well. So just trying to fill all of this matrix across all of these products. Now then, the other thing is, if we want to talk about inspiration, if we want to talk about going beyond this one purchase right now, we also need to provide clients with data that goes beyond this purchase. Because if you only close the sale on this one toothpaste for $2.50 right here, right now, you're probably not seeing the total ROI And so we are looking at how do we provide customer lifetime value? How do we provide brands with just a fundamental view of this is my cost per acquisition versus the lifetime value that I'm getting out of this acquisition, so that they can make smarter choices of how they want to invest across everything that they could be investing in. And then also over time, what are actually different audiences that might have a different customer lifetime value for you?
And this brings me to the smart data versus raw data, because these come in a tailored and ready to consume insight shape, rather than raw data shape that they need to interpret and evaluate themselves.
Both. So we are building out both. So one is a really smart insights platform, also with great machine learning audiences. I'll talk about machine learning in a second, but being able to then say, these are prospects for you, brand decliners, so people who are still buying you but are actually declining in their purchase.
On the fence to jump the ship.
Exactly, high propensity trialists. So all of these super smart machine learning audiences. But then which we provide, but then at the same time being able, to give to clients all of the clean room functionality to build their own audiences, to run their own multi-touch attribution. Those are definitely the two tracks that we are creating, so that if clients want to either really work the machinery themselves, they can.
They have capable teams, they have resources, give them the fuel.
They can absolutely do that. But at the same time, if you look at the Performance Plus types of offerings that are on other big platforms, that is definitely the other way to do this. That, if it's convenience versus control, if you just want to be able to point at a couple of SKUs and want the platform to go and help you sell more of those, that's the other innovation direction.
Now, when you said ML or machine learning, you got me there.
Sure.
And now this is a very rapidly emerging area. Yeah. There are a lot of technologies, some of them are buzzwords, some of them real engines running under the hood. Can you give us a little bit of ground level view? What AI technologies, what programmatic capabilities, or what advanced ML algorithms running to power this platform? Yeah. Let's speak a little bit of nerd language, please.
So the first thing is, audiences, I think, is the space where we are full in machine learning.
Right.
Where we are now helping clients to basically go directly from their marketing objectives straight into an audience.
Right.
To say, I need more trial on this brand. We then go, here are a high propensity trialist for this brand. And therefore, you don't have to go through like, oh, I want to sell this thing and maybe I use this other audiences. And you don't need to do this anymore. We can directly serve this up to you. And that is machine learning and that is self-optimizing. I think it's super interesting. Right here, right now.
And accessible to every level of customer.
Yes, these are audiences that are directly accessible, up to 100%. The other question, of course, for us is, how can you then use machine learning for our internal processes? For example, as a retailer, we have a certain creative bar. All of the creative of all of these display ads needs to be in a certain way for some consistency on the Tesco website. At the moment, these are actually checked by humans. And therefore, you could look at that and go like, well, checking something, giving an AI model a ton of past ads and then say, could you please check if future ads kind of look like this, is definitely something that should be feasible. And then I think, look, in the future beyond that, I think at some point there are questions around ad creative generation, where I think the jury is still out. And I think a lot of the CPG clients are also still figuring out how this exactly would work. If
quantity is okay, but quality and relevancy, consistency.
And, how I know my CPG clients and all of these brands is that they tend to have a pretty strict opinion on what it should look like, and 80% okay is not okay. So therefore, that is.
They're not ready to give it to Gen AI yet.
Yeah, exactly. That's the direction of travel.
And we covered pretty much of what's been going on last 10 years and what's happening today. Yeah. And you showed us a short glimpse of what the near future can bring, what Tesco is cooking. But what do you see in the 3-4 years run? Where do you see in the horizon the new developments, new trends showing up slightly? Or what do you expect to see? Based on your personal vision, personal experience, what needs to happen for retail media and analytics to come to the place where it has to be?
Yeah. So I think the first thing really is still this tension between just the relevance and the inspiration. Relevance and inspiration, I think, is going to be a multi-year question, because also then, as an individual shopper, for example, you have super high relevance expectations when it comes to search results.
Right.
If I search for a soft drink and you show me milk, I might want milk, but it still doesn't fit with my search term, and it is always going to be weird for people.
And I lose my trust on the platform.
And you lose your entire platform, your entire trust of what's actually happening here. So there's always going to be situations where you need to have super high relevance. But then the question is, how do you create an environment where you still serve up inspiration? And where, when you think about, let's say, a search for a cola, you would probably expect, like, the perfect shelf, the perfect virtual shelf would probably be that you would expect some of the big brands, and then you would expect a couple of other things that also might be interesting for you.
And the more new to me, the less expected, even better.
Exactly. Yeah. But in the right mix, and it needs to be in a mix where you feel like someone has actually understood what you wanted. So relevance versus incrementality, long story, but also then in terms of the surfaces that we are creating. So, for example, we now have more and more marketplace items. We also have this Whoosh 1-hour delivery service, rapid delivery service, and again on there, completely different needs. So, for example, on Whoosh, we are seeing that 50% of the purchases on Whoosh are actually new to brand. So 50% of the products that are bought on there, actually consumers haven't bought that brand before. Completely different situation, because
high attribution for inspiration.
Yeah, exactly. So where people just go like, well, I want something right now. This is available. I'll just try this out. Super interesting space. So that's one. I think there still is a real need for deep customer understanding. There's a need for deep customer understanding in this whole space, where people actually go beyond just the search term focus and go into what are the needs, how are people actually experiencing these platforms. I think there can be a different level of collaboration between CPGs and retailers in this space, where it is about, for each category almost, what is the ideal shopping experience that we want to create there.
Is the last point you made, the customers, and I assume you're meaning the CPG advertiser customers, needs to understand the beyond goals or long-term goals. Do you think it might be caused because of the short-term pressure of retail media boom, let's not miss the boat, and let's capitalize as much as we can? Or is it because the retail media conversation is driven by commerce teams more than the brand teams?
Possibly both. So first of all, I think there is kind of this Maslow hierarchy of needs, that you need to have the lower things figured out before you can go higher. So if you only when you feel like you've got the fundamentals sorted out, you can then talk about, well, what else is there? 100% agree with that. But I think also with clients, it's a really interesting space where increasingly clients are thinking about this whole thing much more holistically. That it is a completely combined go-to-market thinking, where you have all of your advertising and you have all of your media expenses. And then you have your relationships with retailers. I think if you go high up enough in a company, if you go to the CMOs, if you go to the general managers, they don't care.
No.
It's either this media platform or that platform, whatever works. It's this retailer or that retailer, whatever works. No. And in the end, just this whole thing needs to work and needs to come together. And I think we are increasingly seeing that is how all of this is going to get meshed up.
No, I truly take away a couple of good tidbits from the conversation, the highlights you share with me. I'm really interested about seeing the ROAS future rolled out and looking forward to that. Now we're approaching to the end of the conversation. The time flew by. Retail media is really, to me, juncture of marketing, tech, and the commerce. P&L and marketing. Where do you see the newcomers, or what do you recommend to the new joiners to the workforce? Because now we see more data analytics people, we see more P&L commerce people joining to this conversation. It's not privileged to marketing media anymore. What is your recommendations to the new people who would be interested in this kind of data analytics world with the retail media? Or what should they focus on for their career journey?
So for me, it's actually been super helpful that I really love and do retail media, but I've actually spent some good time in the adjacent spaces.
Yeah, you mentioned
I've done the marketing. I mean, I also now lead growth strategy, so I've done a lot of the strategy work, and I've done a couple of presentations in my life, strategy presentations in my life, and then I've spent some time on the measurement side of this, of what is actually the ROI of all of this, and how do clients think about the total ROI of all of their advertising, and all of that. Then understanding the outer perimeter actually really helps to then have the insight fully understood.
So there is an acceleration on the workforce from my angle, and I see it won't be easy just to know agency side, it won't be easy just to know brand side. People need to combine, I think, 2-3 core competencies together just to be able to make meaningful inspirations or understanding of what's happening. Yeah. Otherwise, things are going very fast for dunnhumby, Tesco Media, and the retail media world overall. Yeah. I'm very happy to have you today, Florian. We were looking forward to this like 3-4 months. Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
And it was a pleasure meeting with you finally in person. Thanks for tuning into E-Commerce Podcast. Today we were with Florian Clemens, who is reading the growth strategy for Tesco Media in London. Until next time, stay ahead of the curve.